going to start recording as well. All right, so welcome to our webinar on post-COVID-19 recovery tips, helping tour operators and DMCs survive and thrive in these difficult times. Just to introduce our two speakers today, I'm Tim Russell. I'm responsible for global marketing for eRoam, and I'm based in Bangkok, Thailand. And with me is eRoam's co-founder and CEO, Anthony Hill, who's based in Melbourne, Australia. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Anthony's had a bad throat for the last week or so, and he's been dosing himself up on honey and hot lemon for the last week. So if his voice starts to give out, I'll be doing all the talking. So let's hope that isn't the case. So thanks for joining us, Anthony. Thanks for joining us, everybody. I think we've got people joining us from India, from Europe, from Australia, I think from all over the world. So we've got a global audience now. Hope everybody can see my my screen. If you can't see my screen, please shout up or type something in the chat window just to let me know. I think everybody can see my screen, okay. Right, well, let's get started. And I'm going to start off with some doom and gloom, with some pretty depressing statistics that you all know about. COVID-19 has really decimated the travel industry, as we all know. This chart here shows travel industry growth year on year, 2020 versus 2019. This is for the first quarter of this year. I wasn't able to find one for the second quarter, but I would imagine the second quarter is even worse, because in the first quarter we had January, which is still a good month for most of the world in terms of travel. But you'll see that for every continent, there's been a big drop there's been negative growth compared to last year, particularly Asia Pacific, where I'm sitting now, where we had minus 35% growth in the first quarter. So it was a disastrous first quarter, and the second quarter has been even worse. This is from a research company called Roland Berger, or Roland Berger, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, showing the coronavirus impact matrix on which business sectors have been the worst affected. And you can see that right at the top right corner, in the very worst position, is travel and tourism and airlines. I think a lot of us are probably sitting here wishing that we worked in pharma and medtech right now. So the travel and tourism and travel industry has been by far the worst affected. This is a chart showing projected job losses in tourism and hospitality and other industries that are dependent on tourism and hospitality. It's estimated that probably a third of the 300 million travel and tourism workforce is going to be out of work. 100 million jobs are going to be lost. Again, the bulk of those in Asia Pacific, where it's estimated that over 60 million jobs could be lost. Which just, I think, hammers home how bad it's been for everybody in the industry at all levels. And here's TUI's share price, again, another indicator of how bad it's been. TUI's share price fell from about 12 euros in January. It went as low as €2.45. It's currently hovering at around €3.50. So not a good time for the travel industry. And closer to home, this was the news from travel industry research website Skift last week. Thailand's 60th tourism anniversary turns to nightmare as long-standing travel agencies start closing. We've had a lot of industry closures. Even big companies like Asia World Travel have gone to the wall here. So it's been a really bad time. You have any thoughts on that, Anthony, before we move on to the more cheerful stuff?
Yeah, well, there has been a lot of doom and gloom, and also with the governments, like in New Zealand, for example, they're stopping their support for people that have been furloughed, or in Australia here we've got JobKeeper, and yeah, we are seeing a lot of negative press at the moment about companies closing down. So that is why we need to look at what's around the corner and what the future is, and get away from this doom and gloom.
So now we've thoroughly depressed you, we're going to try and cheer you up a little bit. This is the Skift Recovery Index. You're probably all aware of Skift, which is a travel industry research website. They introduced the Skift Recovery Index a few weeks ago to track how the travel industry is recovering, and it's based on things like actual booking numbers, advanced booking numbers, travel industry sentiment, traveler sentiment, and so on. So going off a base of 100, based at the end of December, it went as low as the 16 or 17 beginning of April. It's gone up now to around it's hovering around the 40 mark at the moment. So there's generally an upward curve. So the research suggests that the industry is recovering, albeit rather slowly. Here's a.
And I was going to, well, yeah, on that point, like there is some good news stories within that Skift report, and I think it's hard to imagine how things are starting to rise so early in this pandemic, but things like domestic tourism are benefiting in some countries from this. Like in New Zealand, I was talking to a hotelier last week, and their year on year for May was actually higher this year than it was last year. So there is a recovery that has already started, not as great as what we'd like it to, but there are stories around of definitely growth there.
Yeah, I think traveller sentiment, certainly, this is a survey which was I think it was in Travel Daily a couple of weeks ago, that 45% of respondents say they expect to travel within the next 6 months. People are desperate to travel. We saw in Thailand a couple of months ago that there was a public holiday, the beaches were open, and they ended up having to close the beaches because so many people crowded onto the beaches. And so we see in the UK at the moment, the domestic sector in the UK is doing really well. A lot of hotels and guest houses in the UK are booked out for the summer because people are just so desperate to travel, even if it's just domestically.
In Australia, they opened up for the lift passes to go to the ski fields, and they sold out every single lift pass for the entire season in hours. And it got to the point where, that the only passes left were for you to drive up there and get the passes on the day. Unfortunately, we have gone into another lockdown, but this is how things go up and down. But yeah, definitely opportunity in different markets for different products.
Okay, so what we're going to look at now, we're going to look at a few ways that tour operators, DMCs, and travel companies can survive COVID-19 and thrive when things get back to normal. And I think the first one is for people to be realistic and be prepared to have realistic expectations of what's going to happen. Here's an article from Executive Traveller from last weekend. They're suggesting that normal travel, so travel as we knew it in 2019, may not resume until 2023. Business travel will lead the recovery, but in terms of the numbers that we were seeing in 2018, 2019, it may be quite a long time before they recover. So we think 2021 is likely to be better than 2020. Anthony and I both talk to a lot of tour operators and DMCs when we're doing business development and sales, and everybody seems to think that 2021 will obviously be better than this year. But I think it's fair to say we're not going to be seeing pre-COVID numbers in 2021 either. Would you agree with that, Anthony?
No, definitely not. We're still going to have the nervous travellers, but there are going to be a lot of travellers that, as soon as things open up, do want to get out there. Yeah. So I can see that we are going to. People aren't scared of travelling completely. People will get back out there and start travelling. We just need to have the right products and the right destinations available when they are ready to start booking.
Sure. And I think you need to accept that maybe the current staffing levels that you've got may well be the new normal. You may not be going out and rehiring 20 or 30 people anytime fairly soon. But it's, as Anthony said, take advantage of new opportunities that are presented by changes in travel habits and travel demands, and also the collapse of competitors. We're, as I said before, we've seen a lot of big DMCs in Thailand go to the wall. Now that's an opportunity for the competitors who've survived to scoop up a lot of business there. Wouldn't you agree, Anthony?
Yeah, and also purchasing habits.
Yeah.
People are getting very used to purchasing in different ways, and that being on online travel. So when we're talking to DMCs and tour operators that have relied in the past on the food chain of the travel agents and the OTAs, etc. Yes, some of them may disappear, but there will be new markets that open up for them, for those direct clients. For the more demanding products, traveling maybe through to the far reaches of Africa or Latin America or the less traveled places in Asia, they're always going to the agents and the clients are always going to require the knowledge of the DMCs. And yeah, so this is definitely new opportunities to reach different and new markets.
And also make sure you're following the travel press and subscribing to things like Skiff's Recovery Report, just to give you an indicator of what's happening in the industry and how things are changing, and when the recovery is more likely. So stay as well informed as you can. Keep in touch. Keeping in touch is really important. Staying in touch with, even though no one's traveling at the moment, staying in touch with your regular agents, your regular clients is really important. This is an example of that. Some of you may have seen this. This is a company called Per Anderson. They're a travel marketing company based in Singapore. And right from the start of the virus, they've been putting out a weekly report, a weekly recovery report for all the countries in Southeast Asia, saying who's on lockdown, who's allowing inbound travel, who's allowing outbound travel, how many cases, how many deaths, and so on. And they've really got a lot of people following this now, and they've really positioned themselves as expert leaders in this area. So it's been actually really, really good for them in PR terms.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of misinformation out there also. And the agents aren't 100% sure who to go to and who to trust. And again, I think this is the DMCs and tour operators' really strong point. Being on the ground and having the knowledge. The agents want to hear from you. The clients want to hear from you to find out what opportunities there are. Agents are dying to sell, and clients are trying to travel. So yeah, keeping people informed is so important at this stage.
Yeah, and it's obviously, trying to call people up and trying to sell to them at the moment is probably not a good idea, because they're not ready to travel or send you travelers. But making regular contact with your agents and clients, as Anthony said, to inform them about what's happening on the ground in your destination. But also the information goes both ways, and agents can let you know about traveler sentiment when what inquiries they're getting, when they think they're going to be ready to send you clients as well, right, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've also got industries that are really hard hit, like the cruise industry, for example. And something that you're seeing across Australia and New Zealand is there's newsletters going out on a daily basis. And they've stopped trying to sell cruises, but they're continuing to get people excited about the destinations. So you've got to continue to keep people inspired. Yes, they might not be able to go there in the next 6 months, but in 12 months or 18 months, you want to keep that enthusiasm in the industry. As for the clients, you've got to listen to them, because they do want different things now. And yeah, so listening is so important at this stage. And then offering the products that may not be your traditional product, but it is a product that they want, that you can supply. So you need to be flexible in what you're doing there.
Yeah, and that kind of feeds into the next point about networking with your local suppliers and even competitors in destination, just to keep abreast of latest destination news and developments, so new products that have come out in your country, new resorts, hotels that are opening, because there are still people developing new products. There are still new hotels opening, even in the current climate. So it's the kind of thing you need to stay informed about as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anthony just touched on that, and we'll talk about that in more detail now. Is new ideas, new products, and new destinations. Now is obviously a great time for brainstorming and having product brainstorming meetings, because you're not busy operationally, you're not busy sales wise. So now is a great time to start coming up with new ideas, partly in response to new market demands as well. Here's some interesting stats. This is actually about the growth in staycations and domestic travel. It's actually based on Google search volume in each country. If you look at Malaysia, New Zealand, Taiwan, and Thailand, there's been a massive increase over previous levels of people searching for information on domestic travel, staycations. And I know a lot of tour operators and DMCs don't really specialize in this, but it's definitely something that if you do want to start doing some business during this period, then it's definitely something that you should be looking at. So that's an example of how demand is changing. So as we said, now is the perfect time to brainstorm and research new product ideas. And as Anthony mentioned, post-COVID, travelers are going to be different. People are going to maybe want different things. They're going to want quieter destinations. They don't want to go to destinations where there are going to be thousands of other tourists around there. They might not want hotels. They might want vacation rentals, villas, private apartments and things. And they might want more experiential and authentic travel. Would you agree, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you may need to also look at different markets. That your current market may not be the market that you focus on during recovery. So, for example, in Thailand, where I think you've got to be 121 days clear, the country you're coming from needs to be 121 days clear of COVID-19. So if your main market is the European market, you've got a while to wait before that market's going to open up to you. But you've still got the buses, you've still got the cars, you've still got all of the guides and the hotel contracts out there. So, maybe it's time to think about what are all of the what are the ties to what are the students, the uni students, and to get away for weekends. It's not always going to be the product that you've established your company around, but there's lots of products out there that the DMCs and tour operators hold all of the products in hand. You just need to get those products to the markets that are willing to spend money at the moment.
Yeah, so I think looking at these trends, riding trends, is really important. You can use Google Trends. I don't know if any of you have used Google Trends before, but if you go into Google Trends, you can search what people are searching for on particular topics. That's a really useful source of ideas when you're thinking about new products, looking at travel trends and traveler sentiment as well. So bear that in mind when you're thinking about coming up with new ideas. Anthony mentioned it briefly in the last slide. New markets is another important one. This is Anthony mentioned Thailand as well as a good example. That's where I'm based now. This was tourists to Thailand by country of origin last year, and you can probably pretty much tear this list up now. No one's been traveling from China this year, obviously. It's going to be a while before the UK and the US recover, given the huge amount of virus cases that they're still undergoing at the moment. So it's maybe time to look at this list. Look at a similar list for your destination, wherever you are, whether you're in India, or whether you're in Vietnam or in Europe, and look at where you could get potential travelers from. Looking at this list for Thailand, maybe Cambodia and Vietnam did very well with the virus. So when borders reopen, maybe it's those countries that you need to be looking at.
Just if we go back a slide, I just wanted to touch on back on the another slide. Sorry. One of the things that you've got here is experiential travel, and pre-COVID-19, that was having a massive boom in the industry, and since COVID-19, especially in the last 2 months, you're seeing a lot of tour operators globally focusing on doing that experiential travel within their own countries. I know G Adventures and Intrepid Travel have both come out with brochures specifically targeted at the domestic travel. So where, you know, say Intrepid are known for specialising in Southeast Asia and having the cultural tourism as their focus, they've shifted to do that now within Australia for the Australians. They've got trips in North America for the North Americans. They've got trips in Europe. So, and the big thing about experiential travel, which I don't need to preach to a lot of the audience here because you're specialists in showing the local culture and experiences that are available. But this is the time to shout out about what's in your own backyard. And we all know that this is the area that agents haven't focused on in the past. So let the agents know that you're there to offer this in their own backyard. I think there's a great opportunity there. So,
yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that, Tim.
That's okay, no problem. Yeah, so we mentioned looking at new markets. So traditional markets like US and Europe may not be ready to travel for some time. So when your destination reopens, look at new Asian markets that are just about ready to travel. I mean, China's pretty much conquered the virus now, and as soon as the Chinese are able to travel internationally again, I suspect they'll be traveling in big numbers. Would you agree with that, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that you've also got to look at, even pre-COVID-19, 90% of the US travel market was a domestic market.
Yeah.
You would get similar numbers out of Europe as a whole. So again, where we can't go to all of the places that we want to go, but we've got to remember how big those opportunities are in our local markets. And even if we've been specialists in long haul or mid haul, short haul is what we've got to look at the moment. And the Asian markets are becoming more and more interested in their own backyard, and they're traveling a lot more independently. Sure. So it's not as much as follow the flag in front of you. Goes back to that experiential travel again, which is a huge opportunity to promote in the Asian market also.
Of course, yeah. And look at sectors that might be new to you as well, such as luxury or ultra luxury. And luxury, a lot of we know a lot of cheaper airlines have gone to the wall or are struggling. So the days of thousands of budget airlines taking people everywhere may well be over, or at least temporarily over. Luxury travelers are still going to have money to travel when this is all over. So that'll be a sector that's very much worth targeting. Adventure travelers, people want to get out into the wilderness. They don't want to be in cities surrounded by people. They want to be in the great outdoors where it's considered to be healthier. We mentioned experiential and educational travel as well. By educational, I don't mean so much schools. I mean more individual people doing educational trips for themselves.
If you look at that adventure market, and I put youth and adventure under the one category, this is a good time to really look at that market. They're generally the first travellers after any disaster or any event. They're the first ones back into the market. There's been a number of surveys done on this by WISTIC, by WTTC, by Tourism Australia. And they found that youth market, on average, the average traveller to Australia spends around $2,200. So if you've got mum and dad and 2 kids, the average spend on a leisure holiday to Australia is just under $10,000. The average youth and adventure traveller, they will come and stay a lot longer, but they spend on average $7,500. So if you've got 4 youth and adventure travellers, they're going to spend $30,000. So you've got a family of 4, spending 10,000. You've got a group of 4 youth and adventure travellers, they're spending $30,000. The yield on youth and adventure products is a lot higher than even than the luxury market. So if someone's spending $30,000 on a holiday in the luxury end of the market, you're talking single-digit yield. When you're talking in youth and adventure, it's always double-digit, and quite often it's got a 2 or a 3 in front of it. So this is a really good opportunity to look at other markets once again.
Yeah. And also, and again, we'll touch on this later, obviously it's a subject that's very close to us, is look at technology that can expand your geographical reach as well and make it a lot easier for you to sell to these new markets as well. But we'll talk about that in the next few slides. After new markets, we'll talk briefly about virtual trade shows. Now, we know that a lot of tour operators and DMCs are used to selling their products. Trade shows, World Travel Market, ITB Asia, Thailand Travel Mart, ATF, PATA, etc. We've all spent a lot of time standing on our booths at these trade shows. Obviously, a lot of trade shows now are starting to go virtual and become online. For example, ITB Asia is the latest one. They announced that their 2020 show, which is this October, is going to be in a virtual format. So we won't be going to Singapore this year. We won't be standing in our booths at Marina Bay Sands. Instead, we'll be sat in our offices or in our homes, networking online. So again, that's something that tour operators who've been used to going to trade shows.
What are they going to do for the networking sessions?
I haven't really seen many details yet. I mean, we've registered, but I'm not quite sure how the actual networking sessions are going to go. So
we need to bring a 6-pack of beer with us and everyone jump on Zoom.
I think so. I think you open a beer or a bottle of wine at your desk and do it that way.
Fair enough.
But you have to pay for it yourself this time instead of getting free drinks from
fair enough.
Various stands. It's still cheaper than flying to Singapore, I guess. Yeah, so be grateful for the cost savings. Obviously, attending a virtual trade show is a lot cheaper than flying to Europe or somewhere in Asia for 4 or 5 nights and staying in a hotel. So that's one positive. But also think about your digital presence. Rethink your digital presence. Does your company still come across well without so much of the human factor? Think about creating a compelling virtual booth. With digital products, digital presentation. Think about marketing automation for your follow-ups as well. Would you agree with that, Anthony?
Yeah, look, I think these virtual trade shows
I know you're a fan of
such a great opportunity.
You're a fan of virtual trade shows, I know.
Oh, absolutely. You know, without a doubt. You know, I've been going to trade shows for 30 years now, and it's both a buyer and a seller. And as a seller, you know, there's probably 10 or 15% of the market, if you're lucky, that you really want to talk to at the show, because a lot of the people that are attending the trade show are there for that free trip to Singapore or Kazakhstan or wherever London for WTM, etc. On the buyer's side, it is similar. You do get operators, which I don't actually understand why they waste their time in going, because they're more interested in the parties that they had last night, turning up late, and not interested in the business at hand. With virtual trade shows, you're sitting at home or in your office. Everyone that attends a virtual trade show is there because they want to do business.
Exactly.
They're not there.
There's no time wasters or.
No. And look, I just did the Arabian Travel Mart, and it was probably the best trade show I've ever done. Every single person I spoke to turned out to be a positive lead, and they really wanted to do business. They were really trying to find out what they could do during this downtime to improve their business. They were looking at what they're going to do for recovery. Now, you're not going to get any buyers come to a virtual trade show to whinge, really. You're going to be getting the buyers that are looking for the opportunities. So that's what you've got to be prepared for. You've got to be prepared for those opportunities and accept everyone that asks for an appointment with you. Yeah. Because whilst you may not normally deal with the Russian market or the Peruvians or the New Zealanders, now might be the opportunity to deal in these new markets because you've got the product.
Especially, and I think this year as well, with a lot of your competitors having gone bankrupt and disappeared, there'll be a lot of buyers looking for new partners. So, I think it's really important to attend these virtual trade shows because there will be a lot of foreign partners who've suddenly lost the DMC they've been working with for years and are looking for someone new. So it's really important that you're there. But otherwise, I think the same old trade show tactics and traditions still apply. You still need to stand out. You still need to be memorable. You still need to mingle with people, and you still need to network with people, albeit virtually. So you still need to use all your old trade show skills. How do you do that? You've done a few virtual trade shows, Anthony. How have you gone about that?
You've got to be active in social media, or a lot of the virtual trade shows, they offer you a platform to network with all of the people attending. This is so important. It's not, you can't just rock up to the trade show and expect everyone to be there. It's a bit like selling travel, really. You need to market yourself, then you've got to remarket yourself, and then you've got to be front and center constantly. Give people reasons to think outside of their own box and to come and talk to you and find out more about the opportunities. Don't harass them, but definitely make your presence known, and invite them to come and talk to you. You just want to talk positive. You just want to catch up and see what opportunities are there. And I've had a great response by doing that.
Good advice. Okay. And then another important one is digital transformation. You hear a lot about digital transformation in the travel industry. And although the travel industry was one of the first to go online, I think there are still a lot of companies doing things the old-fashioned way. So I think with COVID-19, digital transformation is becoming really important. Here's a little cartoon I've used in a lot of webinars and presentations I've done in the last few months. COVID-19 really is taking a wrecking ball to the old way of doing business, as we've seen with the demise of quite a few DMCs recently. So it's becoming really important that companies start to go digital in the current climate. The good news about digital transformation is that the barrier to entry is lower than ever. Gone are the days when you had to spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands and install new servers and have to employ a large IT team to do it. Most digital services and solutions are cloud-based these days, and they're becoming more and more affordable. So it's a lot easier to actually digitize your company. And going digital actually, improves your service as well. There seems to be an old-fashioned belief that going digital somehow makes your business more impersonal, but I would say the opposite applies. It enables you to offer a better service, and it enables you to offer a more personalized service. Would you agree with that, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I agree 100%. Going back to that last point, first of all, with cloud computing, that has drastically reduced costs, and also with cloud computing, it's enabled like open source building of technologies, which has really brought the prices down. Everyone is going digital at the moment. It's airline tickets. You don't have the old paper tickets anymore. A lot of hotels, they don't want vouchers. It's part of their eco requirements so they can stay green. That communication isn't done by by phone-in or letters. It's, it's all done using digital platforms like WhatsApp or Messenger, etc. And it's just, it's the travel industry is coming into that digital age now, which it has been very slow in catching up with other industries.
Yeah, and I think, as you'd agree, the old model of, for example, if you're a DMC or a tour operator, the old model of an agent requesting a quote and then waiting several hours or days for a response is dying out, wouldn't you say?
That's happening because of competition, which is actually a positive thing. If you take too long to quote, the travel agent's already told the consultant which hotels to stay at, how long for, and where to go. So the consumers jump in onto the OTAs and booking it. And so the DMCs and tour operators can or will miss out because of that. People have become less and less tolerant of waiting for quotes and waiting for bookings. They're used to jumping on bookings.com if they want a hotel.
Yeah, exactly. They're used to booking everything instantly, so they expect the same service from a tour operator or DMC.
Hey, if you want a pizza, you jump online and a pizza arrives in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If you want car insurance or travel insurance, if you want anything that you want, across the road from our office, there's a Toyota dealership, and you can now buy your cars online and they deliver. So people are just expecting things to be instant. And that is why I think a lot of DMCs around the world, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, have started to really invest in technology, because DMCs and tour operators, or the ones that are doing the best, I believe, are the ones that have embraced the technology to give the agents those tools.
Exactly, yeah. So when we talk about digital transformation, obviously we're talking about online quoting, online booking, even self-service quoting and booking for agents. We're talking about AI, artificial intelligence, talking about chatbots. Now, people think chatbots are impersonal, but statistics suggest that people actually enjoy using chatbots for certain services if it means they get a quicker service. And chatbots are a lot easier to implement these days than you might think. Also, digital marketing as well. Again, we could do a whole session on digital marketing, and we probably will one day. But a lot of companies aren't really doing enough in the areas of digital marketing to market their business.
With DMCs and wholesalers relying so much on the agents as their distribution channel, it is so important that they do have that quick, if not instantaneous, quoting within their technology stack. And that is going to be the difference coming out of COVID-19. If you want to do a trip, as you're in Thailand, let's say we do a trip from Hanoi or from Ho Chi Minh to Bangkok. They're going to visit maybe Siem Reap, Phnom Penh, and Bangkok. So they've got 4 cities in that itinerary. That could be 3 different DMCs, or it could be 1 DMC with offices in 3 different countries. They're going to travel overland, stay in 3-star accommodation. They're going to do a few activities in each of those places. That total itinerary will probably only cost them $1,500 per person to do a short itinerary like that. Now, for the agent, they just need to contact the wholesaler. The wholesaler puts together the itinerary. But for the DMC, they've got to combine all of these different stakeholders together. Yeah. And in the past, that has taken time. And then the client may not even go ahead and book. So there is so many costs involved in that quoting and booking chain. If the client came into an agent and they could get a quote instantly, that is $1,500, would you like to book? It becomes more profitable for the agent, for the wholesaler, for the DMC, and they get the booking closed.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see an increase in, you save a lot of time, you save a lot of money, and you see a huge increase in conversion rates as well.
You said it so much better than me.
I just thought I'd sum up what you would say. And another good thing about digital transformation is that it gives you a lot more insight into what's actually happening in your business. If you're using analytics, you've got analytics tied in with the digital solutions that you use, your ability to view reports on what you're doing, and then implement those learnings when it comes to building future products is really improved as well. That's another example of digital transformation, is being able to analyze your business in more detail and establish what's working, what isn't working, and what changes you need to make, and where the bottlenecks are in the sales and marketing process. And of course,
that goes all the way from marketing analytics. So you may be spending all of your dollars in one market, where the most profitable market is a different market. So maybe you should review where you're spending those marketing dollars, but also in processing and product. The products that you're marketing may not be the highest yielding and may not be the preferred product. And through analytics, you can learn all of this by using the data. Exactly.
And of course, the final point about digital transformation, and allow us briefly to blow our own trumpet, because is to sign up for a live demo of eRoam. Anthony will give you a little bit of introduction to eRoam here, but we've also got a video on the next slide to show you as well. Should we show the video first, Anthony? Or?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right, let's move on to the video. The moment when you find out that the video that you embedded earlier isn't working, which is always the case. So I'm gonna
look, the thing with eRoam.
Oh, here we go.
It's
working now. It's working now. Yeah. Sorry, it just took a little bit of time to load.
Is it working?
It's working. Yeah. It's just buffering down at the bottom here. Come on. One of these things in live webinars when you queue up. There we go.
No, it doesn't look like it's working for you. Look, the thing behind eRoam, where eRoam came from, it came from frustration. I've owned tour operators and DMCs in Europe, Asia, and Australia. And the biggest problem has always been the process.
Sorry, Anthony, the video is still going, and I can't hear the video because you're talking over it. You don't see the video?
I just see plots, like it's at 34 seconds now.
Yeah,
and it's frozen.
No, I paused it. I'm just going to start it again. Okay, there we go.
I can't hear anything.
The travel advisor.
Okay. I don't think the video is working. Yeah. Let's not worry about the video. We can send the video out to all the participants.
Could you not hear any? Could no one hear any sound?
No.
Oh, I could hear the sound. Maybe it's because it's on my machine. Okay. Okay, so carry on, Anthony.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll go back to the previous slide. Technology problems.
So yeah, as I was saying, the birth of eRoam came from frustration, trying to put together, myself and my team trying to put together packages that would take hours, if not days, to get to hear back from all of the suppliers. And looking at the different industries and thinking there's got to be a better way to do this. So I came up with the eRoam platform. How eRoam works is it enables the consultant or the travel advisor to put together the full itinerary in literally minutes. Then it can use peer-to-peer or product manager insights to match the correct product to the correct person. It goes out, it searches all of the different attributes, whether that be the transport, the activities, the attractions, the hotels, and it populates the itinerary. As you click on each city, you can change the hotels, you can change all of the activities, you can change the transport. And once you've finished, it has created a full itinerary ready for you to hand to your clients and ask them if they want to go ahead and book. But
and as a tour operator and DMC, how do I distribute my my content via eRoam, my product?
So you can have all of your agents around the world having access to your portal, and they can do the self-quoting whilst they've got the client in front of them. So if you're based in Hanoi and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, but there's clients sitting in New York where it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the agent in New York can do that full quote whilst the client's sitting in front of them. If the client wants to book, they can actually do the booking. The DMC gets into the office in the morning, and then they'll see on their portal that $15,000 package has been booked, paid for, and confirmed all in that time. We can do that by connecting all of the DMC and tour operators' inventory to the system. And where the DMC or tour operator might have an overflow, let's say an aggregator like Hotel Beds or Expedia, when there's no availability showing from the DMC, then it populates with the overflow content. Likewise with the activity and the transport content.
Okay. Good. So sorry the video didn't work. But what we're going to do, a few people have asked in the chat window if we can send them a presentation. Yes, we'll be following up after the after this webinar by emailing everyone who registered with a link to a recording of the event, so everybody can have a look through again. And I'll also put a link to the video in there as well, so you can actually hear it this time. So sorry about that. Have you got anything to add, Anthony, before we move on to the Q&A?
No, I think that covers off everything. I think there are opportunities at the moment. I think we've just got to look at what opportunities we're capable of offering. So we've got to look at the products that we've got and see who the market is that we can sell that to. We've got to look at how we can compete with the OTAs. We've got to see how we can become more digital across everything in life, whether that is buying, doing your food shopping, buying a Toyota car, or selling travel. Everything is becoming more cloud-based. Everything is becoming more online, and we've got to move with the times. I think one of the big things that has been amazing during this pandemic is how you get the grandmothers and grandfathers jumping online to talk to their grandchildren. These are users of technology that have never used technology before, and they're becoming very comfortable with using technology. So your market, who your market was going into the pandemic, maybe a different market as you come out, or you might have new competitors, and that competitors could be technology if you're not embracing technology.
Yeah, exactly. Because your customers might have changed their expectations after being at home using technology for the last 6 months.
And their source of knowledge, source of truth, through newsletters, through social media, how you engage with your clients and keep them informed could have changed. And so you've really got to have a look at your company, your market, what could be possibly new markets, and how you've got to change and get into the new digital, well, it's not the new digital world now, but embrace all of the digital offerings that are out there.
Exactly. Okay, we've still got a few minutes to go. We've tried to keep this to an hour max to not detain you all too long. If anyone's got any questions, if you want to click in the chat window and ask us some questions, then we're happy to answer those. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people have asked us to share them in the recording, and I'll be sending out an email probably between now and the end of the week with a recording of the webinar for you if you want to look through it again. So if anyone has any questions, please type away now. Give you a couple of minutes. I think there's any questions coming in. No? Okay, well, I'll move on to the final slide with our contact info then. You can find out more about, oh, hang on, is this a question come in? Holly Monaghan says, besides Asia World, have you heard of other DMCs going out of business in the wake of COVID? There were a couple in Thailand in the last couple of weeks. There was one called CBS. There was one called, I think, Siam Express. I don't want to name them just in case I'm getting the name wrong and I'm saying they're bust when they're not. But there were at least 3 in Thailand that have gone out of business. Do you know of any others, Anthony?
No, I can't name any at the moment.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that have been mothballed that I think are anxiously waiting Q4 as well. I've
heard of companies that have gone into hibernation.
Yeah, well, I know there's at least 3 big ones in Thailand that have gone bust in the last 2 weeks. I assume there are quite a few others in other countries that have as well.
But hopefully no more.
Hopefully no more. Yes. Hopefully none of you guys.
Now we're seeing domestic markets starting to open up and close up and open up, but we are seeing the desire to travel. People do want to travel, and we're going to, we're really going to start to see people doing things, I believe, as lockdowns start to open up.
Yeah. Okay. So here's our contact info. If you want to find out more about us, we also have a blog where we discuss topics like the topics we've discussed today. We discuss digital transformation, COVID-19 recovery, and so on. So you can go to our homepage, eRoam.com, and have a look at our blog. You might find some interesting information there. You can contact Anthony on anthony@eRoam.com, or you can contact me on tim.russell@eRoam.com. Those of you who are based in India, our India commercial director, Adil, has been attending this webinar as well. So he'll probably be following up with you at some point in the next few days as well. We're also going to be doing some more webinars. We're aiming to do one webinar every month or so. So again, keep an eye on our website and on your mailbox, because we'll be informing you about those. So all that's left for me to say is thank you, Anthony, for joining us. Your voice just about held out. Go off and drink some honey and lemon now and recover. Thanks to everybody who joined us today and registered, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.